Bowl champion. All right, from the city of brotherly love, your 2024 NFC champions, the Eagles!
This wasn't just a Super Bowl. It was the moment everything the Chiefs had built over the last 7 years hanging in the balance.
How about sitting on this set for the second time? Is it any different than the first?
It's completely different. That first time, I didn't even know how great winning a Super Bowl was. And then to deal with the failure of the last 2 years, losing a Super Bowl, losing the AFC Championship game in overtime, I appreciate this so much more, man. And I'm proud of those guys that play with me.
After years of heartbreak, the Eagles went all in. The heart and soul of their franchise, Jason Kelce, had just retired. And instead of folding, Philly doubled down, signing division rival Saquon Barkley, arguably the best running back in football. This was their one shot to finish what Kelce had started. And if they pulled it off, they'd kill a dynasty. Kansas City was chasing a three-peat, a chance to carve their name alongside the greatest dynasties the NFL has ever seen. But with whispers that Travis Kelce might hang it up after the season, a loss in this Super Bowl could mean the beginning of the end. I'm telling you, everything was on the line in Super Bowl 59. Heading into Championship Sunday, the Kansas City Chiefs were playing in their 5th Super Bowl in 6 years, chasing their 3rd straight title and 4th ring of the Mahomes era. But just 6 years ago, nobody could have predicted this.
No team has repeated in 20 years.
We know how hard the challenge is of being a back.
In 2019, the Chiefs were the NFL's new darlings, a young, explosive team led by a gunslinger at quarterback who broke the game and a coach finally getting his shot at redemption. They didn't steamroll their way through the playoffs. Far from it.
These are the moments that we play for. Yeah! These are the moments that we play for. I believe in every single person in this circle. Believe in each other, fly around, and let's find a way to get a win.
They fell behind in every single postseason game, and every time it looked like the magic might finally run out. Down 24-0 to Houston, down 10 twice in Tennessee, down 10 again in the Super Bowl. No matter how deep the hole, Mahomes just kept climbing. They didn't breeze to a title, they clawed their way to it, one explosive play at a time. And when it was all said and done, the Chiefs were Super Bowl champions for the first time in 50 years.
And they win it by 3 on this touchdown throw to Mecole Hardman, who started the season as a Jet.
Even after their Super Bowl win, the critics called them a one-hit wonder. Said they caught a few breaks, benefited from injuries. They wouldn't do it again. But that's not exactly how things played out. Another MVP caliber season. A 14-2 season and yet another Super Bowl appearance. The Chiefs were the gold standard. Mahomes was the future. And then, they ran into a ghost from the past. Tom Brady. In a New Jersey. Backed by one of the best defenses in football, Mahomes was running for his life. The offensive line crumbled, and the Chiefs watched the confetti fall for someone else. But that brutal loss, it didn't end the story, it just set the stage for what came next. There were no blockbuster signings that offseason, no splashy trades, just the same core, and 3 legends who took the loss personally. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. They came back sharper, smarter, hungrier, and they played like it. After starting 3-4, they stormed through the rest of the regular season, winning 9 of their next 10, tore through the playoffs, and looked destined to take back what slipped away. An AFC Championship game at Arrowhead against a young and hungry Cincinnati Bengals team, the Chiefs looked unstoppable, and then they let it squander. A fourth-quarter meltdown at home, a double-digit lead gone in minutes. The Kansas City Chiefs collapsed, and the football world was stunned. And if that loss wasn't painful enough, the offseason brought more heartbreak. Tyreek Hill, the most dangerous weapon in their offense, was gone.
I thought it was trash. I ain't gonna cap. I ain't even gonna cap, man. When he first got there.
Traded to Miami after contract talks broke down. A move that shook the NFL and cast doubt over their dynasty. the league thought it was over. You don't lose a player like Tyreek Hill and just keep winning. But the Chiefs? They had other plans. The offense was supposed to take a step back. The dynasty? Supposedly fading. But Patrick Mahomes wasn't hearing any of that. Led by their MVP quarterback and a reloaded offensive line, the Chiefs powered through the 2022 season. Mahomes threw for over 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns, all while playing on a bum ankle during the playoffs. And they sure as hell played like champions. They stormed through the postseason, took down Joe Burrow and the Bengals in a revenge-filled AFC championship, and then outdueled Jalen Hurts and the Eagles in one of the greatest Super Bowls ever. That was title number 2 with Mahomes. And then, they did it again. The next year, behind a defense that came into its own and a rookie class that matured overnight, the Chiefs clawed their way back to the mountaintop. Another playoff run, another Super Bowl, another showdown with the 49ers. And once again, Kansas City stood tall. Back-to-back titles, 3 in 5 years. And if there was any doubt before, it's gone now. This is a dynasty.
The call is different, but it's like the same exact motion as Corn Dog. And we brought it back at the right time. Coach Reed's he's a legend, man. He'll do that. And McCole Hardman, man, battling through adversity this year, being in that moment and making that play, that's special.
But Mahomes, Kelsey, Reed, they weren't satisfied. They weren't chasing trophies anymore. They were chasing legacy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to celebrate tonight. I'm going to celebrate at the parade, and then I'm going to do whatever I can to be back in this game next year and trying to go for that three-peat. So it's an ongoing thing in the NFL. I think Tom said it best, is once you win that championship and you have those parades and you get those rings, you're not the champ anymore. You get to come back with that same mentality.
And now they had their sights set on something even rarer, the elusive three-peat. 2024 was a roller coaster for the Chiefs. Early in the season, frustration started to show. The offense wasn't clicking like it used to. The wide receiver room was under fire. Even Travis Kelce, usually the steady heartbeat of the team, looked worn down, banged up, and battling through it. There were whispers that this could be his final ride. Retirement loomed, and suddenly the most reliable connection in football, Mahomes to Kelce, looked mortal. Meanwhile, the media buzzed with speculation. Had the dynasty run its course? Had Mahomes finally hit a wall? But at the end of the day, the Chiefs were still the Chiefs. They didn't dominate the regular season, but they did enough. Earned their playoff spot, and when the lights got bright, they became a different animal. They hosted the upstart Houston Texans in the divisional round. C.J. Stroud was electric. The Texans were fearless. But Mahomes was surgical. He reminded everyone what playoff greatness looks like. Then came Buffalo, a heavyweight fight in the AFC Championship, snow-blanketed in Orchard Field. The Bills had waited years for this shot. But Mahomes wasn't letting the dynasty fall there. He silenced the crowd and sent Kansas City to yet another Super Bowl. And waiting for them in New Orleans was a familiar foe. While the Chiefs were making the Super Bowl almost every year, the Philadelphia Eagles had a tradition of their own. Like clockwork, they put together a dominant regular season, finished near the top of the NFC, and were being talked about as one of the few teams capable of dethroning Kansas City. But every time they got close, something slipped. A key injury, a late-game collapse, a bad call. Year after year, they knocked on the door. In 2021, the Eagles clawed their way into the playoffs with a promising young core, but they got manhandled in the wild card round by the Buccaneers, exposing just how far they still had to go. In 2022, they came back with a vengeance. Jalen Hurts had an MVP caliber season. The defense was elite, and they steamrolled their way to the Super Bowl. But when it mattered most, they couldn't finish the job. Mahomes and the Chiefs pulled off a comeback for the ages, and the Eagles left Arizona heartbroken. Then came 2023. Expectations were sky high, and through the first half of the season, they looked like juggernauts. But December hit and everything unraveled. They lost 5 of their final 6 games, stumbled into the playoffs, and got bounced in the wild card by a team with a backup quarterback. Once again, the Eagles had all that talent, all the momentum, all the hype, and nothing to show for it. They were earning a reputation, great on paper, dangerous when hot, but soft when it counted. But eventually, luck swung their way. The NFC opened up, key rivals regressed, and after years of heartbreak, the Eagles saw a window, and they went for it. With franchise legend Jason Kelce hanging it up after the 2023 season, it felt like the end of an era in Philly. But the front office responded by making a statement. They signed Saquon Barkley, one of the most explosive running backs in football. It was a massive gamble. Saquon had struggled with injuries, and he was coming off a down year. But the Eagles weren't interested in playing it safe. This was their shot, and they were going all in. And the Barkley era started fast. The Eagles came out swinging. The offense was electric. Jalen Hurts looked locked in. And Saquon was everything they'd hoped for. Violent, patient, dynamic. They powered their way to the 2 seed in the NFC. And when the playoffs hit, Barkley elevated. The moment was never too big. In the NFC Championship, the Eagles faced the unthinkable. The Washington Commanders, led by Rookie of the Year Jaden Daniels, had just shocked the world by taking down the top-seeded Detroit Lions. Their defense was flying around. Daniels was playing like a 10-year vet, and suddenly the hottest team in the league was coming to Philly. And early on, it looked like the magic might continue. Daniels made a couple of jaw-dropping throws, and the Commanders took an early lead. But the Eagles had been here before. This team was built for the moment. Jalen Hurts stayed calm, Saquon Barkley took over, and the defense finally cracked the code. Philly outmuscled Washington, closed the door on the rookie sensation, and booked a return trip to the Super Bowl. One more win, and they'd kill a dynasty.
This is something that we do have in common, and at one point, we were both underdogs, and your team was an underdog. But now, going for your 4th Super Bowl, there's a lot of people rooting against you. And I had that experience where we were like, every year I was like, man, why are they all hating on us all the time? Like, I'm just trying to do my job, and if we win, great.
I have so much more appreciation for what y'all did now, because I was someone that was like, man, dude, how do they win every single year? I want the Cowboys. But I think, for me, it's brought us closer together as a team.
From the very first snap, it was clear. The Eagles weren't here to play catch-up. They were here to dominate. Jalen Hurts commanded the offense with surgical precision. In the opening quarter, he engineered a 12-play, 78-yard drive, capped off by a laser to A.J. Brown. Barkley, in his Super Bowl debut, immediately justified his acquisition, bouncing runs outside, shredding tacklers, and creating mismatches in the passing game. His presence added a new dimension to an already dynamic attack. But this wasn't just offense. The Eagles' defense came in with a plan to rattle Patrick Mahomes early. And it worked to perfection. Rookie cornerback Cooper DeJean made the play of the half, baiting Mahomes to throw over the middle and then jumping the route for a 39-yard pick six. The stadium erupted. Mahomes looked stunned. The Chiefs looked human. By the time the halftime whistle blew, the scoreboard read 24-0, and it didn't even feel that close. Eagles had completely taken control, dictating the pace, winning the trenches, and punching the defending champs right in the mouth. Down 24, then 34-0 midway through the third quarter, the Kansas City Chiefs found themselves in uncharted territory. But if there was one player on earth capable of mounting the impossible, it was Patrick Mahomes. With the clock ticking and pressure mounting, Mahomes began to find his rhythm. He connected with rookie wideout Xavier Worthy, who put on a breakout performance under the brightest lights. Worthy's speed proved uncontainable as he hauled in a 24-yard touchdown and later broke free for a 57-yard score in the fourth quarter. He finished the game with 157 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, becoming one of the few bright spots for Kansas City. But even as the Chiefs clawed back, the gap was just simply too large. The Eagles never let up. Their defense, led by relentless Josh Sweat, continued to pressure Mahomes from all angles. Sweat tallied 2.5 sacks, forced hurried throws, and was instrumental in sealing the edge on key downs. Linebackers flew to the ball, safeties blanketed deep threats, and Kansas City's famed offensive creativity was stifled when it mattered most. On the offensive side, Philadelphia didn't just sit on their lead, they continued to grind out drives, bleeding the clock with a combination of Hurts' smart decision-making and Barkley's physical running. The Chiefs simply ran out of time, answers, and momentum. The final score, Philadelphia Eagles 40, Kansas City Chiefs 22. With that, the Eagles avenged their 2023 loss and denied the Chiefs what would have been the NFL's first Super Bowl three-peat. What was once seen as a continuation of a dynasty was now the end of an era, at least for now. For Jalen Hurts, it was redemption. For Saquon Barkley, validation. And for the Eagles franchise, it was legacy. They didn't just win the Lombardi Trophy, they ripped it out of the hands of a dynasty in the making. If you enjoyed this video, stay here with Primetime. Subscribe and check out some of our other content right here.